Hello, IGN Insiders. This is Nate Ahern from the IGN Xbox team, and I'm standing here with Jeff Haynes from the IGN PlayStation team.
How's it going?
Today we're going to be taking a look at Madden 09 on both systems and seeing how they stack up against each other. Starting things off, probably the hottest topic on the list today, that of graphics. Between PS3 and 360, it's something people always want to know about. Madden 09 this year, I thought it looked very similar across both platforms. Jeff, how'd you feel?
It definitely managed to even out across the board. Surprisingly, a lot of people really weren't expecting that. I mean, usually the PS3 has had a lot of the frame rate issues that the 360 hasn't. Obviously, it's been one of those things where the 360 has been the lead console whenever people have been developing it. But this one, it was really, really uniform across the board.
Yeah, I agree totally. It's they did different things this year as opposed to last year, but it made it across in both systems perfectly. Very comparable to one another. Users are going to have a tough time finding any kind of differences whatsoever between the two visually.
Yeah, the one thing that you might find is maybe a difference in the lighting. One might be a little bit lighter or darker, a little bit sharper, and depending upon the visual setup that you have. And that's just one of those things that you sometimes find within screenshots or maybe a video placed side by side.
Right.
But outside of that, the same treatment, the same visuals, presentation, menu displays, everything exactly the same. You really can't go wrong with either one.
All right, next on the docket, sound and presentations. Again, very, very similar. In fact, you might even call it identical across the two platforms. The same audio assets with Chris Collinsworth and Tom Hammond in the booth, delivering their backtrack and analysis with that. Jeff, what did you see? Did you see any kind of differences?
Not really. I mean, I think the biggest thing, especially with this year, was getting rid of radio announcer guy, as most people considered him to be. The fact that you actually have two guys that are in the booth, usually calling games or giving some kind of insight on what's going on the field, especially with the backtrack feature, is a huge win, especially for the franchise. I mean, you really want somebody to break down the X's and O's, exactly what happened on a play, what didn't happen on a play, and Collinsworth is one of the best guys in the business when it comes to that.
Right, definitely. And I thought the on-the-field sounds came across the exact same on the two platforms. A lot of grunts, a lot of yelling, a lot of calling out screens and whatnot. They do a good job both on Xbox 360 and PS3. On the presentational front, the same graphics, same overlay, same menu systems throughout both. Can you think of any differences between the two?
No, not really. I mean, I think it's pretty much uniform across the board, and I think one of the other things, which is kind of a nice little shout-out as well, is the fact that because this is the 20th anniversary, to see kind of Cyber Madden kind of pop up, give you that presentation when you're doing the Madden test at the outset, really gives you a overall sense that this is a full package. You're getting a really good idea of what Madden is going to be in the future.
Right. Towards controls. To me, the controls of Madden 09, again, they're the same across both platforms, but what it's going to come down to is, do you like the Xbox 360 controller more, or do you like the PS3 controller more? Jeff, which do you go with?
I pretty much rotate between both. I buy both systems. I play both equally because I've got friends that have one or the other. I also like just having the experience to see what it's like back and forth. It really is a matter of personal preference. The one thing that some people might go for more than the other is the fact that the 360 version has achievements. And the PS3 version doesn't. That's about it. Outside of that, if you're used to one control scheme or another, you're not really finding anything radically different from this year and last year.
Right, exactly. So last but not least on our docket of comparisons today is that of gameplay between the Xbox 360 and PS3 versions. Again, very identical. They added the rewind, they added backtrack, they added new animations, they added new camera angles, the hit cam, the breakaway cam, all of which work really, really well within the game, but you're just not going to find that any differences on the 360 or the PS3, right? I mean,
it's exactly identical. I think the one real standout feature is the new Madden IQ feature, which essentially makes the playing field very, very even, especially for people that have differing levels of skill with the game, which means that somebody who's never ever played Madden actually has a possible chance of beating someone who is a Madden veteran. I mean, it does take into account how good you are, what your skill level is, gives you certain assists or not, depending upon what that is. It's really, really key. I mean, if you happen to be a huge running guy and you like to pound the ball out on the ground, you'll probably find that you're not going to be able to do that as easily in this version. Same thing with going aerial all the time. You're going to get picked off so much because the computer actually knows what you like doing.
Finally, overall, our final thoughts on the two SKUs. they're identical. They're the same thing. It's going to come down to whether you like PlayStation more. It's going to come down to whether you like Xbox more, at least in my eyes. Jeff, you see, I mean, is there
yeah, it may sound like we're kind of like repeating the same record over and over again,
it's
but
the same as what we're trying to say.
Exactly. I mean, we're not trying to like pull the wool over your eyes here. You're going
Right.
to get a great game regardless of what console you get it on. It's just really a matter of personal preference.
Exactly. So this has been Nate A here with the IGN Xbox team with
Jeff Haynes, IGN PlayStation team.
bringing you the head-to-head between Madden 09 on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3.